abstractive. Till then, we were all proud that it was manufacturing without any what you call prefixes. So the natural way of creating objects in that is the additive way. Once additive manufacturing came, we realized that, hey, all these years, decades, centuries, we have been doing things the wrong way. So, and the real way, natural way to do is only additive. So, and coming to the thing, what are the advantages of additive manufacturing? You get a reduction in weight. You can create complex geometries, produce components or assemblies much faster. And we have the freedom to design, freedom to think also. Earlier, we were all restricted by, look, what your thinking is of no use because you cannot manufacture it. It was manufacturing which was dictating the thinking instead of the opposite way. So right now, we have the freedom to design. We can think, we can perceive, we can design and produce. This is something which I personally like. Green manufacturing with reduced footprint, varieties is free. Earlier, you had to take a few varieties only. I'm sure all of you remember what Mr. Henry Ford said in the late 1920s. He said, I will give you any color of the car as long as it's black. I repeat, Mr. Ford said, I will give you any color of the car as long as it's black. What did he mean by that? He said, I'll give only black color. So that was the kind of what you call bullying the manufacturing used to do. Today, you can get any varieties, which is nice. Less waste, near net shape. Next slide. Are you able to see it, ladies and gentlemen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it says additive manufacturing versus subtractive manufacturing. So what we used to do, not what we used to do, what we are continuing to do now, we take with a big chunk of material here, then we do the machining, we make the final product, and we waste a lot of material. For example, I do a component for the medical industry where my input is 1 kilogram of imported expensive material. It's plastic material. And by the time the part is made, the weight is something like 50 grams. So that means I buy 1 kilogram of material and I waste 95% of it. So this is a big challenge for me. Of course, we are getting paid for it, but every time we feel that, look, is this the right way? So additive manufacturing actually is a right step in that direction. Of course, it needs to evolve, but I'm sure it will. So what will happen in additive manufacturing? You see, the starting metal is a wire, then we print it, we have a final product. Our wastage of metal is quite low compared to the subtractive manufacturing. So this is another way of how we do that. Additive manufacturing, we have an extruder extruding the material. You have various processes like FDM, SLA, DLP, SLS. Don't worry about the names. By the time we understand one, another 10 would have come. Okay. And what we do, you see the various layers. We keep building it on that. Whereas in subtractive manufacturing, we take a big block. We do turning, grinding, milling, drilling, whatever you want. And then we make the final product. So the next slide. I hope you are able to see it now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So the traditional manufacturing versus additive manufacturing. See, suddenly the word manufacturing, in which I learned for the last 35 years, now is called as traditional manufacturing. I never realized that in my lifetime, whatever I am continuing to do will become traditional. I thought it is a new technology. Anyway, coming to the point. So let us take the first conventional or traditional manufacturing. Model study and mold design. It used to take 21 days. Sometimes it takes even 3 months, 4 months also. Then it takes about 3 days to make a pattern design. Remember the design. Then we take full 15 days to machine the pattern. And in the meanwhile, sometimes reject the patterns also. Then we make the mold for 3 days. Then we do the mold assembly for 3 days and metal casting for 3 days, inspection for 2 days, and finally heat treatment and CNC machining. So it takes about 53 days. Please note, we have not added the waiting in between these operations. Sometimes the waiting in between these operations can as much as 50 days also. So it takes about between 53 days to 100 days to make a casting process in the pattern route. Now today with metal 3D printing, what happens? 3D CAD data, it takes about 1 day, even 1 day may be too much. Then support generation is another 1 day. Metal 3D printing is 1 day. Support removal is 2 days, and heat treatment and CNC machining is 2 days. Part finishing is 2 days. You can do it within 9 days. Maximum you can do it within 2 weeks. Can you imagine that? See, everywhere it is only 1 day, 2 days, or something like that. Whereas in the earlier cases, the least itself was 3 days, and it's generally the least was 1 week. So this is the power of new technology. So we have to embrace it fast. Otherwise, we also become obsolete in no time. Next slide. Again, the same thing, whatever I spoke. In additive manufacturing, the production times are shorter, whereas in traditional manufacturing, it is longer production time. Why? We take a very big material and we keep on subtracting it. Okay. So, and in wastage of material, reduced metal waste, whereas in traditional, the metal wastage is quite high. And additive manufacturing, the biggest advantage is you can easily customize it. You can make things different for different customers or different people. Whereas in traditional manufacturing, we make one common standard thing. If you remember, when we studied industrial management or engineering one, we said interchangeability. What does interchangeability means? It means any part can go into anything. So it is not customized. It is actually a standard thing. You take a bolt and nut, they should go one within that. Okay. And next is cheaper to make prototypes. Why? Because you don't need much of an investment. Whereas here, if you want to make a prototypes, it takes quite a long time, lot of investment. You have to get that special material, special machine, and you need some very smart people to work on that. Now, regarding labor cost, additive manufacturing says the labor cost is less, whereas in traditional manufacturing, the labor cost is more. I would actually modify this statement. The number of people required to make additive manufacturing is less, whereas in traditional manufacturing, they require a huge amount of manpower. As we go, it becomes more and more complex. So what's the advantage of additive manufacturing? Complexity is free. Okay. So advanced manufacturing, or AM, has changed product design and the product development process. AM offers an unrivaled level of complexity when compared with what traditional methods of manufacturing can achieve. For example, if we make a part and they need to be fastened to each other, then we say the part size is, let us say, 3 millimeters or something like that. Then the engineering says 3 millimeters is not possible because we don't get screws to screw on 3 millimeters. So the minimum size what we can make is, let us say, 8 millimeters or 6 millimeters. So whereas in additive manufacturing, you can make any size you want. Maybe you may not even require fastening at all. You can just make it. In additive manufacturing, you can integrate two pieces, whereas in subtractive manufacturing, we have to make those two pieces separately. Then we have to start joining them, and for joining them, we have to again have some sort of mating requirements, and then we have to have fastening requirements, so on and so forth. So in other words, complexity is free. It comes without any asking as far as what you call additive manufacturing is concerned. Additive manufacturing offers the possibility of integrating additional features to improve the product performance at the same cost. Traditional manufacturing will find it challenging to accommodate part complexity and performance with low unit cost. For example, in additive manufacturing, let us say you have to make one passage for an oil to pass through around a circle. It is easy. Whereas in traditional manufacturing, we cannot make a hole along a circle, right? Our holes are always straight. So you may have to make one hole straight, then you have to connect it with another 90 degree. Then that connection is made, then you have to plug that non-functional area. Then when it comes to the other plane, we have to again drill one more straight hole and see that the other hole meets. So that oil also will be going straight, and it takes a longer path, and there's a lot of friction. Whereas in additive manufacturing, you can make a hole round a circle. Can you believe that? Amazing. Even today, although we are seeing so many additive manufacturing things, every part I look at, I still get amazed. Next slide. So what are the advantages of additive manufacturing? Faster time to markets. The life cycles are reducing year on year. New products enter market more frequently than before. Existing products can also get obsolete quickly. This is a danger in additive manufacturing. Expectation is rapid expectation is rapid development and validation of product, making them available sooner in the market. AM is the most suitable technology to support these expectations. So there's a graph here which sees that the product cycle time, how it is, what's the time taken to introduce it, growth, maturity, decline. Okay, so in additive manufacturing things are very fast. You see, the faster you go to the market, the more are your profits. If you go to the market very slow, then you're out by the time somebody introduces that product. So this is one big challenge in additive manufacturing. Our time has to be very fast. So next one is advantages of additive manufacturing continued. So accelerated time to market, mass customization and personalization, part consolidation, low and mid volume production. Whereas in traditional manufacturing, we always say the minimum quantity is 50 numbers, 100 numbers, 200 numbers, sometimes 500 numbers. Whereas in additive manufacturing, it starts from 1, maybe 2. Okay, so that is a good advantage. So new product designs. Deliver lifetime benefits in use. DFAM is optimized. DFM is designed for additive manufacturing. Earlier, we used to say only DFM, designed for manufacturing. Now we say DFM, designed for additive manufacturing. Complex part that simplify assembly and enhance reliability. I told you that the number of parts what we require in additive manufacturing is quite less. Part consolidation is easy. Whereas generally, if you look at any mechanical manufacturing, let us say a gearbox, it has so many parts. And so many parts means you have to start keeping stock of all those kind of stuff. Whereas here, the number of parts themselves will reduce. And reproduction parts to avoid complex manufacturing. So what we have to do, when we make a when we launch a product, we also have to maintain some stock for the customer, because we have to support that customer whenever they want, or whenever they want a replacement. Just imagine in 3D printing or additive manufacturing, if someone asks for a product, he doesn't probably have to come to us. He just needs the drawing. He can go and give the drawing to someone and the part is there. Whereas right now, in our mechanical thing, if any of the old machines break down, God save us, that part comes after many months and we pay a big fortune for that. And every time we lose time, we lose customers' confidence and faith and trust. And last one is low volume parts made directly from CAD. This is the best thing what I like. For additive manufacturing, you do not require any drawings. Just give a CAD model and the part is there. Whereas in traditional manufacturing, we need to have the CAD model. From the CAD model, we make so many number of part drawings. And from so many number of part drawings, we make so many number of process drawings. Ultimately, our file comprises of some 50, 80 different drawings. Whereas in rapid prototyping, you don't need anything. Just take the CAD model, feed it into your machine, and that's it. Am I going too fast?
No, sir. Sir, it is okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, no issues. No issues.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Now, this is one additive manufacturing process. Just for example, I'm bringing it. I'm sure the next speakers in the couple of days or 4 days will give you more input on that. So we basically have this pre-processing where we have the drawing and the models. Then we have the metal powder. And in this particular machine, we have laser beam melting powder. Then the platform moves up. Actually, it puts the powder on top of that, and the laser goes and melts the unwanted material. And once it's done, the platform continues to move up, and all those things. It keeps repeating itself, and then we have a finished part. Every time we lay the part, it is a few microns thick, and a laser comes, just melts it, and the table keeps continuing moving up. So this is one small process. I just brought it to your notice. There are multiple processes. Yes, now let us come to the most important thing. The market segments. What markets are render themselves for 3D printing? Literally everything. Medical, customized or patient-specific implant, surgical assist fixtures, prototype instruments, etc. I'd like to say something on the medical here. This is what I was amazed when our people did it in one of our plant. You know, there was an accident for a particular person. The accident was on the head, and they had to replace this what you call skull cap. And generally the skull caps what are available, they are made from conventional methods, and they are made as per some assumptions. As you know, every human being is different, and every structure of his body parts are different. Okay, so definitely the head is different. So what we did is we went and took the image of that particular other part of the person who had an accident. The doctors actually gave it to us. Then we created an image which matches his head portion. So that means literally our 3D printing machine tailor-made a part suitable for that particular person's head at that particular age. That was something I really liked. Otherwise, traditionally, you know, when somebody undergoes a surgery of some facial features or some body features, you can tell from a distance that he underwent surgery, mainly because you can see it distorted or abnormal or something like that. With 3D printing, whenever we make these kind of a parts, we can make them almost near to the original thing, so that the person throughout his life will not be having the scars of this kind of accident or something like that. This is something which I really like. So the next one is aerospace, lightweight structure with minimum machining requirements. Earlier, there were many nozzles which were made for the aerospace engines by General Electric. So those nozzles were taking something like some 20 hours of machining or something like that. With 3D printing, it has come to a few hours. And most importantly, the number of parts were reduced, mainly because the complex parts require multiple parts, whereas 3D printing, you can integrate all those things. Automotive, prototype application for small batch. It is prototyping applications and small batch production of auto parts. See, automotive still is on subtractive manufacturing, mainly because the volumes are very high, and additive manufacturing is very expensive there. So, but prototyping is one area where we use it heavily in automotive. And small batches, you want some 5 numbers, 10 number replacement or something like that, we can do that. And tooling, production of tooling with conformal cooling with significantly lowers productivity. Here we can make some special toolings wherever you need some special cooling arrangement or something like that. All that is done on 3D printing. General engineering, prototypes, complex parts and assemblies for oil and gas, energy sector and other industry. Oil and gas sectors, as you know, is there from a very long time, and whatever we manufactured 20-30 years back still need to be supported with spare parts and other things. The traditional manufacturing is very weak on that area, because when we manufactured it 30 years back, the technology was different. Today, to manufacture it again, it will take us a huge investment. Maybe we would have scrapped those investments those days. Whereas with additive manufacturing, we can replace parts easily and faster. Medical segment, I already mentioned about that. Custom implant design, as I told you, individualized implant design for your anatomy, knee, my God, what a big word is that? Knee, mandibular, dental, hip, cranial, and whatnot. Earlier, we never had to know all those names. Now we have to know those. Complex geometries, free form structures based on bionic principles to accelerate the patient's healing process to promote bone reconstruction. So there are some materials which have been found out, which actually the body can absorb easily or faster. So that is available with 3D printing. Whereas a traditional manufacturing, unfortunately, we don't have those liberties. And reduce cost, reduce operation cost, faster healing, less post-treatment cost. Sometimes, you know, after a surgery is done and the patient is fitted with one particular, let us say, a replacement, and after some time he comes back and says, "Doctor, I am feeling a little uneasy, I'm having extra issues." Then the doctor studies that and says that, okay, this is what we fitted to you was not the correct one. So then they have to replace that, because in the first time we could not make the right replacement, whereas with 3D printing, we can do that. And rapid availability, whenever you want something, you get it very fast, within a day. So additive manufacturing is a boon for medical. I personally agree to that. Aerospace segment, in weight reduction, topological optimization to remove redundant material, use of lightweight lattice structures. This word lattice structure is quite important. In traditional manufacturing, we cannot do lattice structure. Lattice structure means you have to remove material And when you remove material, as you know, in machining, we use a process called orthogonal cutting, which actually puts a lot of stresses on the part on which we machine. That's the reason beyond a thickness, we are not able to machine it, whereas we can make it out of 3D printing. Then part count reduction, as I told you earlier, functional integration to increase the durability and to decrease the weight, increased fuel efficiency. As you know, in aircraft, the most important thing is fuel, and aircrafts have to carry a lot of fuel. And why do they have to carry a lot of fuel? Because the aircraft weight is more. If you reduce the weight of the aircraft, then the fuel consumption also comes down, and we have a greener planet. Cost-effective manufacturing, processing of lighter and high-performance metal with minimum scrap value. For example, in materials like Inconel 718 and titanium alloys, which cost some 10,000 rupees a kilo or something like that, every gram counts. On-demand manufacturing, reducing the logistics burden and inventory management by on-site manufacturing, removing the need of tooling. Because in traditional manufacturing, when we set up a tool, we have to make some 50 parts, 100 parts, then only the cost of manufacturing comes down. So the industry, the primary industry has to carry all these parts for months and years. Then they have to keep it at some place. And unfortunately, when you want a part in the US, that part will be in Japan, or when you want it in Japan, it will be in Brazil. Whereas with this 3D printing, you can print it anywhere in the world within 1 day. By that conventional machining, if the part takes 1 week to come from somewhere, in additive manufacturing, you can print it within 1 day wherever you have. Amazing. I'm actually getting scared because most of our manufacturing may go out of business fast. Again, for automotive segment, generative design, unlimited design freedom, complexity for free, creativity, cost effective. As I told you, no initial tooling cost. For example, in automotive, when we make the dies, the dies cost about 10 lakh rupees, 20 lakh rupees, or 40 lakh rupees, and the lead time is some 3 months, 2 months, or something like that. Here, you don't have to invest that. And minimum scrap cost, functional integration, and let us say we make a die, and we find some problem after some time that the entire die has to be reworked or scrapped. Whereas in additive manufacturing, fortunately, we don't have die itself, so no tooling cost. Rapid prototyping, multiple configuration testing, faster design, iterations, reduce time to market, low volume production, spare part production, simplify manufacturing, reduce inventories, streamline supply chain, mass individualization, unique design based on demand, customization at any point of product cycle. You don't have to really stick to some age-old design. So there is a saying by a Wohlers report in 2019. It says that automobile companies continue to use AEM extensively for design validation, fit and function testing, and some type of toolings. So in 2021, I'm sure it is much different now. See, this is what I was talking to you about conformal toolings. When we make some toolings in the conventional machine tool, okay, as I told you, remember, we make things at 90 degrees. The hole goes straight, then again at 90, and you see this particular portion. I hope you're able to see this small thing which I'm using my cursor. Because we need to drill this blind hole, we actually have to start drilling from this side, then we have to plug. And this hole also we have to drill and plug. Whereas you see in the 3D printed thing, you can make those holes in any way you want. And the cooling is very, very effective here. Whereas here, the cooling is only straight, 90 degrees, left, right, left, right, left, right. Whereas here, it can go around any circles. This actually improves the die process and ensure that the products what we make are much, much better. It's really amazing. Did you understand whatever I said now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Anytime anybody wants, you can stop me on that. General engineering, you can do anything. So additive manufacturing can take us to rapid prototyping. It can take us to repair, jewelry. I'm sure the ladies would love this. Complexity for free, and oil and gas industry, you can make this kind of a stuff. batch production. You can make this small propeller. So many things. And you look at the complex gears which can be made in 3D printing. And you see gears within gears, within gears, within gears. These are some case study which I'd like to show you. This is actually a rear wheel hub, left hand and right hand for electric vehicle. The segment is automotive and the material is aluminum. Conventional process is we used to take a big block and machine it through CNC. Now we actually do 3D printing. But of course, there are some precision areas where we still need to machine it, but that's very less. They are more of application things. So the benefits are light reduction due to lattice structure. Can you see this lattice structure, what we are showing here? So this actually is good. You see some gaps here, which we cannot do it in machining. We can do it in 3D printing. And lead time reduction, faster time to market. And this is something called as topology optimized design. Whereas in manufacturing, we say, no, we cannot do that. We cannot do this or something like that. Whereas we can make it. In the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you see the fifth image, you see a lot of lattice structure here. Can you see this? That star-like stuff here, where my cursor is moving. This cannot be done in traditional manufacturing at all. Whereas we can do it in the case of this. This actually improves the cooling and the functionality of this particular product. One more case study, this motor housing made from aluminum. Conventional process is die casting, whereas now we can do it in 3D printing. And in 3D printing, we can actually make better things than what we could have imagined in conventional manufacturing. This is what I was telling you about conformal cooling. You see the way the cooling is made. Can you see this? It's hollow, hollow, hollow all the time. If it's traditional machining, it will be solid and we can make only, let us say, 3 millimeter slot or 4 millimeter slot, but we cannot make 2 millimeter because we don't have a tool. Whereas here we can make that. And you see in that second image, you see this cooling things, how it goes up and down. I don't think we can make this in traditional manufacturing. So this actually conformal cooling channels are much better. And you see the way, this is the inlet, this is the outlet. If we had made it in traditional way, we would have had a lot of holes here. So the statement is cross section demonstrating the path of conformal cooling channel covering the entire volume of the mold, hence achieving uniform temperature distribution. So for the entire mold, we are making this what you call conformal cooling. Whereas in traditional, we could make it only on the periphery. In the center, we could not have made. Here we are able to do that. And also the rejections keep coming down. See, in this particular part, because we made this die out of conformal cooling or a regular cooling. When we made a regular cooling part, when we made a die from regular cooling one, we found that in bore blowhole A, we rejected 13 pieces. Why? Blowholes come mainly because of the non-uniform rate of cooling. So some areas cool faster, some areas cool slower, and because of the difference in the rate of cooling, we have the air which was present gets trapped and resulting in blowhole. So if you see this, when we did it in regular method in May 2019, we had something like 13 pieces rejected, 9 rejected, 18 rejected, 49 rejected. If you add all these, it comes to 50, 67, 76, 89 pieces. Whereas after we introduced this conformal cooling, there was only one part which got rejected. Can you imagine that? Amazing. So now the cycle time was 20 hours for 4 parts. Earlier it was probably 20 hours or 24 hours for one part. Again, a lot of gears. Any size and shape of gears can be 3D printed. Earlier, whenever we had gears to be made by conventional, we used to say that model is not possible, this model is not possible. So in traditional manufacturing, the use of that word not possible by machining was a very common thing. So now that is slowly removed off. And if that manufacturer says, I want to have a gear with this hardness, we say, no, we cannot do that. This metal cannot attain that hardness. Whereas with 3D printing, we can get any gear, any hardness. One aero engine prototype. This has been done in 3D printing. If you want to do this by traditional manufacturing, I think it will take probably a year or more. And whereas with 3D printing, you can do it within a week. Now, this brings to the end of my presentation on 3D printing or additive manufacturing. So next is some customization I did for my presentation for this particular event. So now this is mainly for the purpose of this FDP today. Now, what does the future hold for us? So higher knowledge-based technology, more of science and less of art. The traditional manufacturing was more of art. For example, there are some processes which only very few people could do, which we call it as art, whereas today everything is more of knowledge-based technology. And one more thing, second important thing, I'm sure there are a lot of ladies in this FDP, higher opportunities for women in manufacturing. Earlier, women did not go into traditional manufacturing. They say this is a men's domain. You cannot do that. You cannot work on the shop floor and all those kind of stuff. Ladies, here is one area where you can score. So you don't need to go to the shop floor itself. You can do it from wherever you want. There are a lot of opportunity. And ladies actually are more creative. So they have a big opportunity in manufacturing now. Third point, no need to have big factories with high manpower. No noise and waste material disposal. Traditionally, when you say a factory, it makes a lot of noise. It leaves a lot of what you call smoke into the air, and a lot of vehicles moving in and out, a lot of galata happening. Whereas now you don't need to have that. You could probably have it in the center of an IT company. You wouldn't even know it is being manufactured. Next is designers can get their intended product performance without limitation. Earlier, when a designer used to make a product, the manufacturer used to go and put a small spoke in his wheels and say, no, you cannot do that. This is not possible and all this kind of stuff. So now the designers are having a field day. They can get whatever they want. Next is reduce number of parts, eliminate non-functional parts. As I was telling you, the number of parts keep coming down. Opportunity for making simplified and lighter products. This is one good opportunity. Lower use of raw material leading to lower carbon footprint. I spoke about this on a couple of occasions. Can be made in multi-floor buildings, can be operated from literally anywhere. As I was telling you, you can do it in the center of an IT park also. This is specifically for engineering institutions. Now, what educational institutes can try to do? You can introduce additive manufacturing as an add-on subject from first semester itself. Don't wait for VTU to give you that syllabus. You can see how to add it on. Encourage innovation. Any ideas can be tried out. You can work with industries and market to supply parts. You can have some 3D printing machines. You can work with industries or hospitals and say, hey, look, our students are there. We can do this. You can actually have it as a small revenue model also. Or you can have a tie-up with the industry in additive manufacturing between your college and the industry, where you can supply the students can do products, and that also is what you call a business entity. Provide market-ready AM engineers with hands-on experience. This is the first point what Mr. Panduranga Pai was mentioning, that the industries say that, look, the students who come out of college are not industry ready. So now with additive manufacturing, you can give us industry ready additive manufacturing engineers. You can train engineers with interesting market friendly and innovative ideas. There are a lot of things. You can tell them, hey, go to this market, find out what the market wants, come do 3D printing or something like that. And AM can be the new offshoot branch of mechanical engineering. You can it can be offered as a 1-year course after 4 years. What I mean to say is, you can have this as a special course. You can say do 4 years BE and 1 year as additive manufacturing course. We, Canara Engineering College, will offer this particular course to you. And you can tell the industries that, look, we give you engineers who are having additive manufacturing experience or something like that. This is only what came to my mind. I'm proposing it to you. Now, design for additive manufacturing, new design thinking and challenges. Earlier concepts of subpart designs are no more valid. They need to be looked at. Going forward, if additive manufacturing comes, then many of the designs what we made in our traditional practices, like some fastening, some flanges, many of them may become obsolete. A traditional design which had many parts need to be redesigned with few parts. Earlier, a machine design, if you see, it was a complex design with so many sub-assemblies. With 3D printing, all the things go off. You can just have a few minimum 5, 6, 10, 15 parts. Whereas in a traditional manufacturing thing, every design used to have some minimum of 3, 4, 5, 6 fastening, concept for every area. So all those things go off. Earlier, the raw material used was based on the machinability and manufacturing. Now the AM completely frees these requirements. So the traditional thinking on raw material, you can use this material, what's the property of this material, where do you use, all those things are getting vanished now. Sizes and shapes are no more limiting the designers. Design validation can be done within days. Earlier, we used to take weeks to validate a design. Now we can do it can be done within days, probably hours also. The team which makes the best design gets the business. Okay. So earlier we used to have a lot of engineering knowledge to get a business. Today, the team which makes the best design gets the business. Concepts of making part drawings will be done with. I told you earlier, if I had to make a part, it had a lot of part drawings. Today, we don't require many part drawings. One 3D printed part, 3D printing part is the entire assembly. Functional design parameters will be given. Earlier, what we used to do, if we had to give a part to someone, we had to give stage drawings. Today, we'll only tell him, look, I want this particular part. These are my dimension. This is the performance parameters it needs to do. You do whatever design and you give me something. Okay, so this is really amazing. Teaching will have to focus more on applications, which AM makes them limitless. So the teaching will, in future, has to be focused more on applications and very few on concepts. Right now, I see most of our traditional mechanical engineering is only on concepts. How do you do this? What is this concept, which was made some 100 years back, 200 years back? Now it's more on applications. So that is one challenge we are getting. Further, going back to the challenges, conventional manufacturing, subtractive manufacturing enjoyed a very long period of existence, will continue to with reduced application. So it's not that if AM comes, subtractive manufacturing will vanish. It will continue to be there, but with a reduced application. AM's future and period may be lower as new technologies emerge. What I mean is, the conventional manufacturing was there for centuries. Additive manufacturing, whatever we are doing now, might be there for a very short time. After that, you don't know, something else might emerge. So precision final machining will continue in functional areas. Machining will traditionally not vanish. Okay, it will still remain, but instead of machining that part fully from machining group, you machine only that critical part where you have a mating part to go or a bearing to fit or something like that. Next question, will we run out of raw material? For example, additive manufacturing uses some special materials. Earlier, we used to use materials which came from Mother Earth. We used to dig out iron ore or aluminum or something like that. Now, today, additive manufacturings are made conventionally, not conventionally, made artificially. I don't know whether we'll really run out of material or we might come out with new material. It's only my thing. Will AM replace all subtractive manufacturing in the future? I don't know. Huge investment needed and scaling up will take a lot of time. Additive manufacturing requires a lot of investment, because if you're looking at metal making machines, each machine will cost something like 3 crores, 4 crores or something like that. Traditional manufacturing used to have machines costing lakhs, maybe number of such machines doing very small operation. Whereas 3D printing machines in metal and big machines require a lot of investment and will take a lot of time, because the 3D printing machine making itself need to scale up. So that will take a lot of time. Last point, what will happen to the already established SM industries? Will we have additive manufacturing as a controlled or reserved area? That means we already have a lot of industries. Millions of people are depending on that. All the industry people will go and make some dharna in front of the parliament and say, no, no, don't bring additive manufacturing. If you bring, we'll all be jobless or something like that. So then government will say, okay. And they'll say, additive manufacturing will be only in this area or that area or something like that. I don't know. New challenges. So regarding Amaze, okay. Now what exactly is Amaze? Amaze is a company started by ACE Designers and AMS, part of my group companies. So we have some things here. We have a service bureau. We have solutions. So this is based in Peenya. So this is our additive manufacturing. ACE Micromatic is very strong in subtractive manufacturing. We are the market leaders for machine tools which are into subtractive manufacturing. So as an extension, ACE Micromatic has gone into additive manufacturing because over a period of time, we plan to make these machines ourselves. So these are our capabilities. We can do metal printing, pre-processing, post-processing, R&D. These last 3 slides are about Amaze. So thank you from ACE Micromatic group company. It's a pleasure to be here and it's an honor to be part of this FDP program. Thank you. If there are any questions, I'm willing to take them.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Dear participants, I now request you to put the questions if you have any. You may either put it in the chat box or you may unmute yourself and talk also.
Hello, sir. Vinayak, sir. It's Naveen here.
Hi, Naveen.
Sir, my question, it was a very good presentation, sir, very informative and effective. Sir, as you have told that it's going to be taking a time to grow. This 3D printing is going to taking a time to grow. But as we have seen that in some aerospace industries or in case of some marine industries also, they are able to build these components where there are failures, but they are trying to find out ways of rebuilding it. Can these additive manufacturing can take that as a one input and start building the eroded part or some defective parts? Is it possible with this? That's what I wanted to ask.
A very interesting question. Now 3D printing materials are different. See, traditionally our materials have been iron, steel and alloys of nickel, aluminium, copper, brass and other things. As I said, these are all these are the materials which come from Mother Nature. Okay, so now the 3D printed materials are very different. So they need to be made and it also is specific to a process. If you use one particular method of 3D printing, you need to have one material. If you use laser, you need to have some other material or something like that. So now rebuilding of those parts may be a bit difficult. But if we find out what exactly has gone wrong in that particular part, maybe we can make one part which can replace the defective part. That is what I could say at the moment. But a lot of the opportunities are open. Who knows? You could be the one who is going to do that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. You have answered my question. So anyone else want to ask a question?
Sir, good morning. Venkatesh from Canara College.
Good morning, Mr. Venkatesh.
Sir, I just really wonder this additive manufacturing, can it really replace the connecting rods and all those things? Especially even today we use the conventional casting and forging methods because of the strength that the conventional manufacturing processes give. I really wonder, can this additive manufacturing can really give that strength to the required parts? That's what I just wonder, sir.
You are a hardcore mechanical person, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you heard about carbon fibers, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Don't you think carbon fibers are replacing the metals in aircraft these days?
Yeah, true. Very true.
Most of the aircrafts are having carbon fibers, right?
Very true.
Especially the fighter ones or the aerospace, space shuttles. Okay. Traditionally, we thought only aluminum or high alloy aluminiums were the ones which were doing that. Today, carbon fibers are replacing that. And even the traditional cycling, what we see in Olympics, okay, are made from carbon fiber.
Correct.
Yes. You might have seen some pictures where some slim lady lifts that entire cycle with 2 fingers.
True.
So, answering your question, today, no, but eventually, yes. Now, connecting rods are part of IC engines, right?
Correct.
The very IC engine itself may be replaced by electric vehicles.
That is also there.
So when the IC engines go, along with the IC engines, our traditional pistons, connecting rod, gudgeon pin, cylinder head, everything will go. So I think we are in for a major change and surprise. Now, coming specifically to that question, yes, it may not replace it one-on-one, but we have to find some ways of doing that. And as I said, if the volume of production is very large, okay, then I'm sure that the traditional manufacturing will be there. But when the volumes come down, when the designs change, I think then traditional manufacturing cost benefits will go off. Maybe 3D printing will come. We never know. But one thing is true, it's going to be quite exciting.
What could be the possible timeline that you expect these changes to happen, especially in India?
India is a very, what you call, unpredictable country. I remember in 90s when we just started our, what you call, journey into the modernization done by Prime Minister Narasimha Rao and Finance Minister Manmohan Singh. I used to read a lot of magazines and I was depressed. They said, now what this new team has done is they have thrown open the Indian manufacturing to wolves. India is a is a protected country, and we never had competition. In the next 4 or 5 years, Indian automotive market is going to vanish, and everybody from the world is going to come and set shops, and Indians will vanish out of the manufacturing. This is a prediction what was done in 92-93. Now, where are we in 2020? Forget about getting vanished. We have gone into various countries, right? Our Bharat Forge, our Mahindras, and our Tatas, they are setting shops everywhere. So India is a very unpredictable country. We have a lot of genius people just sitting, waiting to be exposed. Once they come up, I'm sure they'll bring something out. I'm quite positive about that, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
When I come in, sir, there is actually one question in the chat box from Rayappa Srinivas Mahale. Among powder metallurgy and additive manufacturing, which process is most economical? That is the question.
Very interesting question. Powder metallurgy also is one step ahead of the conventional manufacturing, but it's still in mass production range only, where we have expensive presses, where we need minimum volume quantity for it to be economical. Whereas 3D printing has its own segment where it says that, okay, even if you want, I can make one part in 3D printing. Whereas in powder metallurgy, we still need to have many number of parts to be done. And second thing is, the powder metallurgy depends on the die what we make. Okay, so in 3D printing, since you don't have that die, you don't have to be limited by the die. Okay, so these are some things which play a difference between the powder metallurgy and additive manufacturing. But more or less, both of them look very similar. But powder metallurgy is more in high mass-produced parts where we have minimum wastages. It addresses that difference of raw material wastage between subtractive manufacturing and additive manufacturing. What I mean is powder metallurgy has very less reduction, very less wastages compared to conventional manufacturing, but still it requires big presses, big investment, big tools, precision tools, and its own material and its own heat treatment and other things. So both of them will continue to be there, and additive manufacturing, when the volumes keep coming down, additive manufacturing is going to what you call take over that. Do you know something, just to add to this discussion, the snake and the mongoose? You know, traditionally what the mongoose does is it tires the snake, right? It doesn't hit the snake in the very first shot. The snake actually cannot do all that exercise for a very long time. The mongoose keeps on playing with the snake. When the snake becomes very tired, then the mongoose takes over. So this additive manufacturing is something like that. When the volumes keep coming down, additive manufacturing takes over. So I see one more question from Jenil Popat. It says, how do you see 3D printing in terms of civil engineering? Right now, 3D printing is more in the interior activities, but for the high strength areas, like the other gentleman asked, whether you can replace connecting rod or something like that, we need to see. And 3D printing is actually very strong in very small areas. What I mean is, if the size of the part is very small, 3D printing is very effective. When the sizes become big and big and big, 3D printing becomes too expensive because we don't have such big machines to make 3D printed parts. So I think civil engineering, when it comes to the real structures or load-bearing things, will probably live on for a very long time with the traditional manufacturing. But a lot of interesting questions are coming. I'm learning quite a lot.
Thank you, Kamil sir. I would like to welcome Shabana ma'am. She is all the way from, I think, from Dubai. Madam, if you want to ask any questions. I think so. Any other?
Hello, Dr. Naveen.
Yes, ma'am.
Actually, my connectivity is very poor today. Good morning, everyone.
Yes.
Yes, can you please say again? The voice was a little...
I would like to invite you for this inaugural and technical talk session, ma'am. So, sir was talking about subtractive and additive manufacturing.
Yes.
Would like to share something which you are going to talk about that one in the later session. Would you like to add something and ask to sir anything?
No, I am just wondering that I have got very new information from the sir's talk, and it's really good to hear him. And I'll be talking about some advancement specifically related to the medical medtech industry. And I just want to make the audience aware of that how this medtech is revolutionizing and how powerful it is in terms of the serving the mankind. So I'll be talking about that, but it's really great. I congratulate sir for giving such an insightful talk, and thank you so much. Thank you all of you, and all the best to the organizers for this great FDP. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for joining.
Thank
sir,
you,
sir, it was a very informative presentation altogether, and we appreciate your time and your availability on this busy schedule, and sharing your experiences and giving us a very the means what will be the new trend in 3D printing and how. Hello. Maybe some issue.
Trial version.
Hello, Naveen sir.
Yes, sir.
Trial version.
There is a last question from Janil Popat. I think small parts, not load-bearing, low-quality part. From where we can start thinking of 3D printing from civil engineering, for civil engineering? which
That is
method?
answered.
Yeah, he has answered. Sir has answered that. Sir has answered.
Yeah, I'll just take another 30 seconds more. Janil, see, we have to start somewhere. I always say journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. So we have to identify which parts we can convert to 3D printing. Initially, it may be a little expensive, but eventually we have to replace that. So the very small parts, non-load bearing parts, low quantity parts, aesthetically important parts, okay, or somewhere which is a pain point for you, something which keeps failing regularly. So these are the parts which you can probably do. And many parts require a lot of skill in civil engineering, and skill is vanishing these days. So this is an opportunity for us to convert what was art-based to science-based. So this could be some starting things for you. Thank you for the last question, Janil.
Hello, am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, Vinay Kama sir. It has been a great pleasure to have you as a chief guest today, and thank you very much for keynote address as well. And as other participants also mentioned, it was really very informative session, and I always love hearing to industry people, especially because they will give us some insight into what they are looking forward from academia, especially. And whenever I listen to industry people, we also get some inputs on how can we prepare our budding engineers for the industries or for the engineering field. So as a whole, this session was really very nice. I'm sure participants enjoyed it and improved their knowledge base as well. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Vinay Kama, sir. And also, we are looking forward for taking our 3D printing journey forward along with your support and support of ACE Micromatic as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. So I wish you all the best. I'm getting excused. Have a nice learning session, all of you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.